Good afternoon. Welcome to my Lunch and Learn Resizing and Watermarking. I'm Chris Bethay, and I'm happy to have you guys all here. If you want to go ahead and mute and just turn on your speaker if you have questions, that would make things very helpful. So let's see.
I'll just go ahead and do that.
All right, that would be great. All right, what we're doing today is we're going to take a finished photo and change it into submission ready files. There are three sections to this presentation. We'll be doing the resizing, watermarking, and metadata. And then hopefully, if all goes well, you'll be able to do your own edits during this time where you can make two exports on one image, because that'll just be easier for right now. One for the gallery or for the submissions for the salon, and one for the upcoming interclub competition. For the galleries on the website, it is requested and required to have a watermark. I would also highly recommend metadata on those images. And then for Interclub, you have to have absolutely nothing on there that shows who you are. So that should be no watermarks, no metadata, no anything. So those would be two different exports. And if
Chris,
you,
say
yes,
Chris.
yes.
I don't know what metadata is.
Okay, so I'll be getting to that.
Okay, all right.
All right. But for real quick, metadata is the information that is embedded inside of the photo. It has your name, it has the date it was taken, it has your copyright information if you want it. It sometimes has location. It can have all kinds of information on your photo. Metadata is a good way to embed your information for sharing in various means so that your copyright is also included in your picture. So, but I do have another slide on that coming up. So let's start with resizing. So resizing requirements are what's actually required. So most sizing requires that we, at least that I'm familiar with, is the 1920 pixels on the longest side. So that means if it's tall, the tallest it can be is 1920. If it's a wide picture, the widest it can be is 1920. And then the file size limit is 750 kilobytes as the maximum. Minimum is fine. And then, I mean, it can go smaller than that and it'll still be fine. The exports format is a JPEG, and it's generally the standard rule to use sRGB for exporting. Pixels and kilobytes are different beasts. Pixels are the shape of the file, and kilobytes is how tightly the file is packed. Most problems can happen when someone changes the wrong settings. They resize but forget to compress, or compress without changing the pixel size first. So you have to do it in a certain order. Um, and these are completely two different things. However, when you resize an image to 1920, it also will make the kilobyte size go down. And a lot of times, just resizing to that 1920 longest edge will make the kilobytes down to the small enough size that it'll be acceptable. And then always, always, always do the resize first, because when you export and compress it to, it might already be small enough, and you'll have to go through and test and check to make sure you can do that, that it is the right size. And I will show you how to do that too here in a bit. Oh, there's submission requirements snapshot. You should be familiar with this because we do it every month for the salon. Your naming is your name, O1 title.jpg, and O2 title JPEG. And it is required the 750 kilobytes and the image size being 1920 pixels. And again, for the gallery, I was told that the watermark is required. For salon, watermark is optional. And I'm reiterating all this because it is important and I know it's very confusing. So resizing is pixels, it's the image dimensions, and the file size is how tight it's compact. So when you export to like when you're exporting to a TIFF or a JPEG for printing purposes, you want to have it set to a really large number. Like it's automatic on Photoshop to have it set to like the level 10. And then when you're wanting it for the web, you would probably have the it set to the level of 3 or 4. I have found that resizing compression to a 5 or 6, well, after you resize to the 1920, a 5 or 6 will compact it enough so that it will look good and is the right size. So, um, don't don't try to do it randomly. You do you try to do it from you start at the highest number that you want, and then if that's still too large, then you start dropping it down. Don't just I truly suggest the 5, 6 as the size for doing the starting point. If that's still too large, it shouldn't be, but if it is, then you would drop it down to 3 or 4. All right, so again, I'm reiterating. The target is the longest side is 1920 pixels. Also, you don't need to worry about resolution numbers because the web, if it's presented on the web, it's going to be, I mean, resolution is for printing. So when you have it digitally, it's really not going to affect how it looks on the screen. Always crop first and then resize. And then always export a copy. Never overwrite your master because you might want to print it later. And if you overwrite your master, it's not going to be there anymore and it's not going to have the resolution you need to print. Um, all right, so I have the Android Snapseed software that I had mentioned in the email. And then I think there's at least 1 or 2 people that are going to be using that. So we can either go over that first or we can start with Photoshop. So I am going to go to actually Bridge. Bridge is the software that I use. It's the easiest. If the image that you have is exactly how you want it to look or just needs tiny tweaks, this is the software I use. I mean, I can do the exposure just a little bit. I can change all that stuff. But the important thing right here is the export. And I really like this because you can save it. I generally either save in same location or as recommended with this, when you're exporting for competition, you would create a folder for salon or you would create a folder for interclub and then you would select the folder. And then you do the naming convention or like when I'm just saving randomly changes, I usually put the document name, a hyphen, and then the date. And that allows me to know when I did the edits and where it was. File extension, of course, is JPEG. Right now I have the resolution set to pretty high, but I recommend 5 to 7 for the competitions and for the salon and for the website. And then Adobe RGB or yeah, Adobe RGB down here or the sRGB are both really good options. My training, I've learned that the Adobe RGB works really good for astrophotography, so that's why I have it set there. And then here is the great little thing for image resize. So we want, all right, so did they change it on me? Okay. So usually, oh, resize to fit width and height, and we want 1920 here. Oh, huh. Okay. So apparently I should have tested this before because usually I was able to put a size in here that would say 1920 large size. So now I'm going to have to figure out why that changed. Okay. There it is, long side. Okay. Ta-da. Upgrades, they catch you off, they change the settings and they reset it to factory. Who knows? Okay, so there it is. Resize to fit, long size, 1920. Resolution doesn't matter. The smaller resolution, I just leave it there. So then I click save. Where am I saving it to? St. Croix. And uh, apparently I should have also had this file open. St. Croix. There it is. And I need the name of the file. What is the name of the file? 9235. All right, so 9235. That's 94. There it is. All right. So here we have info, properties. And it is showing that it is 512 kilobytes. And that here's some of the metadata I was talking about. It already has my name on there. And here's the dimensions, which is the 1920 by 1280 as it was expected to be. And continuing all the metadata, this is some information that is usually standard. And the file size, I don't know, it should be in here. There it is, 519 kilobytes. So,
Chris, can I say something for a second?
sure.
Yeah, that metadata is visible in the Dropbox. So that's how we know that your images are not sized properly.
That is correct. So they can see immediately that they are not. All right, so, oh, I know how I was going to do that. I'm going to open this back up again. Oh man, all right, wrong window. There, all right, so I'm going to open this in Photoshop. Theoretically, there it is. All right, so I'm opening the original in Photoshop and then of course managing to lose the window. There it goes. Okay, so here we would export and the file info, oops, is over here. So we're back to the original size, which is, did I open the right one? Yeah, okay. And there it is, image size 6,000 by 4,000. So we will want to export this, depending, you can do a quick export or you can do the full export. No, we don't want to do a quick export, that's right. Export as, there we go. And then we want to change the width to 1920 and it will adjust. And then of course, this thing will go over the copyright and stuff later. And I would put this down to maybe 5 for quality. So we're gonna export and export it into the same spot. resized ES 110, oops, 26. And export. So, gonna go look at that again and figure out where it went. There it is. Properties, details. I did not select it, so my metadata is not there, but that's, yeah. So here we go, 1920 by 1280, and we have 756 kilobytes. So again, we are within the specifications of the requirements. And then it's pretty much the same thing in Lightroom. Export. I'm not on Lightroom Classic much anymore, but we have um, the quality up here and resize to fit, long edge, 1920, and then export. Oops, I didn't see where it exported to. But I think you kind of have the general idea on how to do those. GIMP is pretty much the same way, and I think I have shortcuts in the PDF for, so we have Lightroom Classic, Photoshop, GIMP, Adobe Camera Raw, Corel, and Canva. What I did not at the time have was the Android Snapseed, which is we download and install the Snapseed from Google Play, and then you open it, and it's pretty easy. I don't know. I don't think, yeah, probably won't work that way. So I will work with those who are trying to do it, but it's still not too bad. You set the export to 1920, kind of like what we just did in the other software. There's the three dots or the settings on there. You tap image sizing and then you choose the 1920. After the first install, you should be able to just do it automatically. It will already be in the system with your original sizes. Same thing with Photoshop and Adobe Camera Raw. It will hang on to your previous settings unless you hit reset or you get an update. And then you tap the export, save a copy, or export. Remember, don't override your original image. And then you can share the copy directly from your phone to text to Dropbox or texting. And then I would verify by opening it in a gallery and checking details,
I have a
which
question,
sure,
Chris. Is what you showed for Photoshop, is that the same as Photoshop Elements Editor?
pretty much. I do not have a subscription for Elements,
Mm-hmm.
but the process is pretty much the same. I verified and it should work. I mean, you go to the export, you change the so the long side to 1920, and then you would
Mm-hmm.
change the levels of the compression for the JPEG. So
Okay.
it should be pretty much the same.
Okay, great.
Another
As long
question.
okay.
When you showed the resizing, it was the 1920 at the long side, and then I could have swore I saw that the kilobyte size was 765 or 756, which is over the 750 limit. Did I read that wrong, or
Okay, so maybe I read the,
I thought it exceeded the 750 is what I'm trying to say.
well, it possibly did. I might have missed that. Yeah. So
Yes,
765 is larger. So you would then go in and change
right.
that to
You
good
756. You were right.
good catch. So then you would want to go in and lower the quality to a lower amount. And then we will see. Yeah, so this one's 421 kilobytes now. So 756 is too large. For some reason, I was thinking it was, yeah. Anyway, my apologies. And then this one up here that we did was, oh, yeah, I need to close that from in here. So go back to the original there, export. So I change that to 4, save, oops. Yeah, select, I don't, and then,
Hey, Chris,
yes,
I don't use any of those things you're talking about. I just use Windows Photo Gallery and you right click on it and hit the kilobytes to it's like 2 steps.
that's awesome.
There's no
Uh,
export or better.
So does it retain the original also, or do you have to save, or does it overwrite your original when you do it that way?
I save a copy.
Okay. So export and save a copy is kind of the same thing. I'm also presuming that you're taking pictures in JPEG
Yep,
or,
JPEG.
okay. So there's nothing wrong with that. The software that some people use don't aren't being saved in JPEGs. There's a lot more data available when you save them raw as opposed to JPEGs because you lose a lot of information with JPEGs, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And what you're doing is perfect. So keep it up. All right. So apologies for getting the numbers wrong, but now that I got the numbers right, you kind of see how the sizes work. And let's see. Not, oops. Where did my window go? There it is. All right. So the iPhone is a little bit different. I don't have an iPhone, but this is what I Googled and found out. It seems like there's a shortcuts app that you can set it up once on your iPhone, and you would follow these steps where you open the shortcuts app, tap plus to create a new shortcut, add action, search for and choose resize image, tap image and set it to input, shortcut input, tap where it says auto and choose width, type the 1920, save to photo album or save file if you prefer saving to files, name it, resize to 1920 or however you want to rename it, and then tap done. And then once you have that set up once, you'll just be able to open your photos, pick it, tap share, and then scroll to your shortcut, resize to 1920, and then it saves the new resized copy without changing your original. So that is how, in theory, you would do it with iPhone. If somebody wants to check that out and let me know, that would be awesome. Okay, so
Question. So Chris, so you got the 1920 if you're using the cell phone, but how do you know that you're going to be at or less than the 750 kilobyte size?
on cell phones, you can usually check and see. I'm pretty sure there's also ways to check the quality and maybe resize that. I did not find the information on that. So in theory, I mean on the Android, you can do it definitely. On iPhone, I don't have an iPhone, so if somebody wants to research that and get back to me, and anybody else who might have questions or concerns with their iPhone if they're using that for their images. So Unless somebody wants to buy me an iPhone. So would you guys like to try now on your own to try to do the resizing
Chris,
on your, and I can help you if you have questions?
Chris,
Yes?
are you going to walk us through Snapseed? I downloaded that app that you asked me to.
I'm wondering if I can share that. I'm not sure if, let's see. I would sure like to be able to. Um, let's see. KB phone, join. I wonder if, oh, I gotta turn off my, I am going to,
When I looked at it, Chris, it just looked like it would be a lot easier than what you just went through, to tell you the truth.
all right, so I was gonna try and share from my phone,
Okay, thank you.
but I'm not sure how yet. Can you hear me?
Yep, I
Okay.
can.
Can you see my images?
Yep, I can.
All right, so let me go back to the, okay, so set export to. So you can see my phone and settings,
Mm-hmm.
tap image sizing, which I had already done. You have a choice here with
Oh, okay.
the 1920. So you
I
select
just clicked
that
it. Yep,
and then you click export, save a copy or export,
okay.
create it. And then that should be all there is to it. Then you go in there and you find it somewhere, which would probably be my um, gallery, which is, nope, it didn't save it to my gallery. Maybe. Then you've got the details. And that one's obviously not it. That one says 1920 and 636 kilobytes. So I'll take the win. Did that make sense? Was that helpful?
A little bit easier. Yep. I'm going to have to play with it for a little bit.
Okay. So now I got to figure out how to turn off.
And
There we
edit
are.
to the size that you need for like 750. That's what you're gonna have to
Okay.
do.
Because I was going to ask that question. I was
Yep,
going to
that's what
ask
you're
that
gonna have to
question.
do is where it says edit, after you go into your gallery, you're gonna have to push size or whatever, I don't know what it is, but you're gonna have to push that and then put 750 in there or something, medium,
Okay.
something, whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So meanwhile, did you want to try on your own? And can you see my regular slideshow again?
I think I'm going to try it on my own because I played with it a little bit before the meeting because you had given me that. So I think I'd like to play with it on my own.
All right. And anybody else, did you want to try on Photoshop or any of your software, or should I just go on to the watermarking?
Let's
I'd
go to
like
the
to go
watermarking.
on.
Okay.
Go to watermarking. Sounds
All
good.
right. All right. We'll move ahead then. So watermarking is visible text or image on photo. And we did verify that you can see my screen again, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you choose your watermark. You can have a text watermark with your name or your name and a website, or you can have a logo watermark, PNG with a transparent background, which is what I use. Placement is bottom left or bottom right corner. Put it in a quiet area, sky, water, background, not on faces or key details. You got to be careful of that. And then size and subtlety, 2 to 5% of the image width. Opacity, you can adjust that to about 20 to 40% so that you can still kind of see through it and keep the edges clean, no thick outlines, no weird glow. I mean, that's general if you really are excited about, the outlines or the glow. This is all art, so it's whatever works for you. But you want it to be able to be readable. If it blends in, you do need to have a tiny drop shadow or something to allow you to make it stand out a little bit. Um, the
Can I say
transparent,
something quick, please?
sure.
So, you can also do a transparent watermark across the whole thing, and it's very difficult for people to steal your photos that way.
And I think that goes under personal preference. I think I would rather have somebody try to steal my photo than have to put an ugly watermark across the thing. But I mean, everybody's going to have their own preferences. So you do what you do you. You do what's right for you. If you want to have it across the entire image, then you have it across the entire image. That's completely up to you what your preference is. They do recommend that you be consistent. If you're going to put it in the right or left-hand corner, you should consistently do that. I, however, do not. I put it in the corner, like in my astrophotography pictures. I put it in the corner that is, far enough away from the main part of my image so it doesn't really detract from the image. But again, it's going to be your personal preference. It's going to be how important it is to you and that sort of thing. So it's just it's whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with, and however you want to do it. So let's see. Lightroom allows you to have a preset, which I kind of, I mean, I didn't play with that too much. Or what I do with Photoshop and what you can do with GIMP or those things is have a layer. So um, you probably saw it when I first started. Here is my logo. And then the way I can do it in Photoshop is I duplicate the layer and then I call it logo. And then I change the document to the image I'm putting it on. So this will go into the other image that was on there. And then it says the target document has a different depth, blah, blah, blah. You sure you want to proceed? Yes. I could probably turn that off, but I'm glad I didn't because now you got to see it. So you go in here and you can see my little logo, which actually
But
looks really good. So I would pick a corner, oops, and then resize it, whatever I'm comfortable with. And then you can change the opacity so it's not quite so bright. But I mean, depending on the image, like my night sky, I like to make the opacity really low because the picture is dark. But a bright picture, you might not need to. I mean, again, it's going to be whatever your personal preference is. And then it's done. You export it and voila.
Chris,
Um,
where does the logo come from? I don't think we have Does anybody else have a logo? I don't have a logo. What's a
well,
logo? Where does
a
it
lo
come from? How do you make it?
I
What
have
I
that
one.
would
I
that
can
would
help
be
you
a
with it.
completely different class. So
Yeah, I have one.
logos can be created in a multiple ways. You can I mean, I don't know what your software is, but you can create it, you can draw it, it can be your signature. I think I was playing with my Apple Mac and it actually allows you to have your handwritten signature as a watermark, which was really cool. So there's multiple ways you can do it. You can just type it out, you can use a font, you can use a signature. If you want to draw it, if you want to hire somebody, I had a friend create this for me. I am not very good with artistic type stuff, so an old friend of mine did this for me, and I thought it came out really kind of cool. I could not have done it myself. Uh, there are
and what are you starting from? Like,
my
what
website is
like I'm
called,
turning on my computer and
you,
then what am I doing to create a logo?
well, have you do you first before you turn on your computer, you should know what you want it to look like. You should hand draw it. You should kind of picture it in your mind. And then once you have an idea of what you want, if it's something that you can draw on your computer, then you by all means draw it on your computer. If you can't draw it, there are a lot of free options out there that you can use that would have like what are they called? The high pixelated images that you can get off of certain websites for free. Like if you have a Photoshop subscription, photography subscription, you do get access to some of their free images. So you can use something like that. I can't
But
think
just
of,
say you just say it's your name. You just want to put your name on there.
then you pick a
But
font,
maybe
you type it
one
up. So if you wanted to do that, then you go to new and you probably don't need, yes, as you can tell, I don't do this very often. Let's do 2 by 2. Background content, you want it to be transparent and create. Okay, so then you would go into fonts. And you would probably pick a really awesome color. There you've got Lorem Ipsum. My is Night Library, if anybody's interested. That's what Nix Libris means, is referring to, because my astrophotography. And then you have all these beautiful fonts that you can go through. So I think, yes. So you can go through with your down arrow key and look at all the different, oh, that one's cool, isn't it? Old English, of course. And you can go until you find something. I mean, if you want to do Kristen, oops, that's not what I'm going to do. All right, go. There we go. So if you wanted to do your name, again, you can, oops. All right. It worked the first time. Why isn't it working this time? Just be difficult. Anyway, there's tons of fonts. You can also find fonts off of the internet that you could use, and then again, you would save it as a PNG. So export as, and then you would change it to PNG, transparent background. I don't want to put it there, so let's stick it in downloads. Logo test. Export. All right. So then you would go and you would open it. Oops. Wow. That was interesting. You would open it. And logo test. And then you'd have the layer again. So you would duplicate layer and you would put it onto your image. Yes. Okay, so make sure you use the same export thing. And then where did it go? So hide that one. So it's on here somewhere. Oh, there it is. So you probably want to make it larger. But so my 2x2 is obviously too small. So I would probably do a 6x6 and then make sure the font was like 72 pixels or something. And then you would put it in the corner where you want it. And then you would export it there that way. So completely random practice run of creating a logo. Did that
Hey,
make
Rick,
sense? Did that help at all? I heard a question.
yeah, my question is just on the watermark. Do you put a year on your watermarks or do you just put your name and a copyright symbol?
I just in the watermarks, I just have my logo.
Yeah, I see. How
But I
about
mean, I
other?
have seen a lot of people put the year and everything on there.
Okay,
So, so that again, that's going to be personal preference, and it would, yeah, either way will work.
thank you.
Sure. All right, so I have another now you try if you wanted to try, or we can go on to metadata. Unless you have some more questions, I can definitely answer any questions.
I have a question. So
All
if you
right.
put your logo, your watermark logo, your name, I would just
Mm-hmm.
put my name, copyright, maybe the date in the corner, pretty
Mm-hmm.
small.
Mm-hmm.
What's to keep somebody from stealing it by just cropping off the corner? And
There's
there's
nothing.
there's
I mean,
nothing, right?
that's why Denise is like put it all the way across. And again,
Yeah.
that's why I was like it whatever you're comfortable with is what you can do. When I also do the interclub images sharing on for the Twin Cities Area Camera Council Club. And I have offered people to allow them to put logos on theirs. And for the most part, people just put their name down at the bottom. I have not had anybody go all the way across the image with their names. If people are going to steal it with the technology and AI now, they can remove your across the top anyway without any problems, without anything. So, if you don't want your work stolen, don't create any digital for it. Do not share it on the web at all. Only do shows with print media because there's nothing to stop the people from stealing it. Nothing. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that again is going to be up to you. You can, however you want to do it. If you don't want to have it on the web, then don't put it on the web. If you are okay with it, if you want to bring people joy, which is the way I look at it, you bring people joy, let them enjoy your photos. The thieves are going to be thieves. You still know you did it in your heart. I don't know if my stuff is never going to be worth, millions of dollars. So I'm not really concerned. I do it to bring myself joy and to bring others joy. So again, this is for people that are comfortable sharing on the web. This is for people that are okay with all these possibilities of stolen work and everything else. It is sadly the world we live in. So as a reminder, CCA/CCC does put your winning images out on the web and can use it in other ways. So that's a caveat to entering the interclub competition. Do we
So,
have any? Go ahead.
yeah, if for my personal website where I try to sell photos from the internet, I just throw them on there. But I should be making the 1920 and 750 size, it sounds like. And then if somebody tries to print to put above their sofa a big, huge version of it, it wouldn't work
Correct.
because the quality would be so poor.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's the exact point is everything on the web is on the web, but if they want a print copy of it, the lower resolution will prevent a good copy of it. At this time, AI cannot make images larger and look good yet.
Got it.
Another question, Chris.
Okay.
One of the things I do when I resize by Lightroom and I export by Lightroom, I'll put my watermark in the lower left or the lower right, whichever is whichever has some blank space or light or dark colors. But oftentimes, then when I put it on social media, Facebook or um, or Instagram, I'll do maybe some slight additional cropping, and most of the time I'm going to lose my watermark. Is there any way that when you would crop it additionally, that watermark would stay as a default in the lower left or lower right corner? Um,
No, you have to export it exactly where you want it. It
okay,
is not
that's
something that is adjustable on the fly for social media.
kind of what I figured. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That kind of leads me into the other thing that will be helpful. Unfortunately, social media does scrape it out, but metadata and copyright info. So metadata is hidden information stored inside the photo file, and it's not visible on the image. Excuse me. Generally, what is embedded is the copyright notice, which is the year of the image, your name, all rights reserved. Creator author, you saw that on mine. It's always defaulted to Chris Bethea. And then you can also add website, email, location, everything else using Photoshop. The location and email, I believe, happens normally on phones, whether you want it to or not. I think you can remove it, but I haven't tested that theory. Um, the IPTC copyright fields, I will show you how to do it here in a moment, but they're just fields that you can fill in. And once you fill them in, then a lot of times they remain there. Sometimes they're working on it. It's not as smooth as it should be. They're also, which is something that might be interested in, seem to be creating a online copyright database, I think, which when you submit your image or you export your image, it actually takes that image and adds your copyright information to the web. And in theory, because I haven't tested this and it's still in beta version, but your image and your information will be associated, and that is what's going to protect you in the future from your work being stolen off of the web. It's still in beta. It's not working exactly yet. I am definitely part of the trial. Again, I'm not worried. but it's a good thing to learn and to practice and to have that information out there. So once it gets standardized, it'll be awesome because all of your copyright works through Photoshop, at least through Adobe. I haven't tested it in Lightroom, but at least through Photoshop, your information will be shared along with the image in a specific file, which will be your copyright protection. That's my understanding. I need to do more research on it. Anyway, so that's a plus that's happening in the future. And then best practices, add it once, then save it as a template. And then to keep the metadata always attached unless the rules say otherwise, which Interclub does say otherwise. So let's see. Metadata helps establish authorship and is useful if your image gets shared without the watermark. And yeah, this is separate from the watermark because it's hidden inside of the picture. So if we look at, well, let's look at Adobe Camera Raw first and file info. I have, you can name it, you can have your author title, you can rate it, you do copyrighted, and then I have my copyright notice. I just do copyright Kristen Bethay, then you can have a URL, and then you click OK and it's there. And then I showed you in the export how it was there. And then, which I should probably show you again. So, info, properties. Okay. So details. And of course, I picked the one that doesn't have properties. Did I hit save? I don't think I hit save. All right, so we're going to go back. And I'm going to do it again. And this time I'm going to export it with my information. Oops. Yeah, so export, copyright. There we go. All right, then we can go to properties. And there's my copyright information there. If I would have put a title and everything else. You can also add this directly using your computer and add it that way. But there's a lot of really great information that you can say. Unfortunately, Facebook at this time strips all that out. But again, if that copyright notice, which I will show you that now. So on here, you have file info. Nope, that's not the right thing. You have, is it? Yeah. So you can put all that same in here, copyrighted. My name, St. Croix, Clarina. Click OK. And then when you export, this is the part I wanted to show you. So metadata, copyright, and contact info. Again, I would keep it there except for the interclub or other competitions. And then content credentials not enabled for this document. I need to figure out why, because usually select window content. So window content credentials. There it is. Okay. Enable content credentials. connected accounts, social media, LinkedIn, and preview. So then I had these set up already once, but I think there's other options that you can use. I'd have to clear it out to find out. But this would be a good way to content credentials. It gets shared out there. I mean, I had LinkedIn accounts, so I went ahead and used that. I'm not sure if it will give other options at this time, but it's really cool that they are working with Adobe to protect artists from their works being stolen. So if you wanted to, go ahead and sign up for that. And then you go in here. Let me export. I turned it on. So export as. Publish content credentials. You can publish your files' content credentials to the Content Credentials Cloud when exporting instead of attaching them to your files. This makes edit and activity history more persistent and recoverable and keeps the file sizes smaller. Because when you do the copyright stuff, it does make it larger. So maybe that, well, it does make it larger. So yeah, I made it my default. I still want to have the metadata in there, published to Content Credentials Cloud, and there's that same screen that we saw before. So that will be something that is also up to you if you want to start doing that or not. But then the metadata information that we looked at before will also be in there. And copyright, yes. 1/10/26. I just saved it in my downloads folder, but that's okay. I can find it. Maybe I can find it. There it is. And show more options, properties. And it has the title that I put in there. I didn't rate it yet. And it it doesn't look like, oh, there it is, copyright Krista Mathey. So really great options that can sort of protect you, but it's all at the honesty of other people. And if they want your stuff, unfortunately, they'll get your stuff. So, do you have any questions?
Chris, you mentioned that for best practices, you should include your metadata. Were you implying that the public could also see your metadata?
They can, yes.
So it's not necessarily a good thing in all cases. For example, if you found a rare owl or bobcat or something, and you wanted to make sure that that location wasn't shared.
Then you wouldn't want to put your location in the metadata.
Okay. Now I get it.
You put in there only what you want in there. To me, the most important stuff would be, of course, the copyright notice and your name and maybe contact information if you want it. Again, if you don't want that embedded into your image.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
All good.
Okay. Well, thank you for attending. We can, if you want to work on any on your own while I'm here, I can help you with anything that you might want to try. But that's pretty much all I have. So again, I can open the floor up for any questions. And if you wanted to share your screen and work on anything, or if you want me to go over anything else, I can do so.
I have a question for you, Chris.
Okay.
So when you go into, well, I have Adobe, I think it's Elements. And so after you do everything with your photo, do you save that then to the desktop and then save it back to the desktop and then put your, oh 01, it'd be 01.arlene dot, the title. Is that how you do it? Or do you directly upload that photo into Dropbox from Elements or any software program?
What I would recommend is that you create a folder. Like if you're going to use one image in two different places, which is what this little lunch and learn assumed, was that you're going to use the same photo
Mhm.
for Interclub and for the salon or the website. You
Mhm.
would have two folders. You would have the one for Interclub so that it would have no metadata and no logo. And then you would have the another folder for salon or website, which would have your logo and metadata. And I would export to those locations directly. That's what I do. So I do not save directly from Elements, Photoshop, anything directly into Dropbox or anything like that. Now,
Mhm.
that being said, I'm guessing people that are just using their phone might have different options and would be able to do that.
Mhm.
But I like to organize so that I can go back, hey, I submitted this photo in blah, blah, blah to this competition or to this website, and then I have that retained in my own history and in my folders. So that's how I do it.
Mhm. Okay, good. Thank you.
I didn't go over I have a couple of PDF documents that I uploaded to Dropbox that has a lot of the watermarking and copyright info for non-Photoshop areas like GIMP and
Mhm.
Corel and Canva. So those options are available also. And then some just tips and tricks that we went over.
Okay, great.
So those will be available and I can make the PDF. I can make a PDF of the slides if you're interested in that too. But I will go ahead and stop recording so that it will give me my download so that I
Okay.
can get that